want to see the space. He's not kidding. The pictures that they put up are absolutely amazing. And from the standpoint of, I would even consider, different things that could be booked there. And is there minimums on what they need to do, like minimum amount of guests that have to use the facility? So I mean, again, another option is to do if you're doing a bridal event. Like I just went to someone's bridal brunch where they had 100 people at their bridal brunch the day after the wedding.
Sure.
So I think that there's other opportunities in your whole planning process to make sure that you're considering when you're thinking about this. Other benefits of the space. Now, what's included when they rent the space?
Well, we have 155 Shivari chairs, mahogany Shivari chairs that we're including, so that's a nice perk. They don't have to rent those chairs. We have plenty of 60-inch rounds, and they rent the table covers, the linens, but a lot of.
So the chairs and the tables are included in the venue.
Yeah, enough for 155 on the indoor space. Yeah.
That's okay. So that can simplify a lot of things right there, and that's something that doesn't happen at a lot of venues. You have to go and further rent your equipment to do those kind of things. So that's excellent. Now, when they come in to do this, and they're going to have the packaging and everything, do they work with the caterers on the planning side of coordinating the day, or is there someone from the parish that's doing that?
So it kind of depends if they're doing the wedding. There's often some planning with if they're doing an Episcopal wedding, for example, there will be quite a bit of coordination on the service end of it. If they're hiring an outside officiant to do a wedding of a different denomination, there might be less involvement in the church in the planning, but we'll still be in the loop for sure. And then I think the caterers will take lead on organizing the details of the reception, and will of course be part of that communication loop. But the caterers are very expert at what they do. They can plan everything.
Yeah, they are. You got a great group that you put together for sure. From a timing perspective on days of the week, is there any specific days that the venue is going to be restricted from use, any of that type of thing?
No restriction. Well, obviously Sunday mornings, when we're having church services next door, but no, for the most part, it's wide open.
That's awesome. So again, that goes from not just weddings like I was talking, but rehearsal dinners, brunches, corporate events, the charity thing. So you guys have done a fantastic job putting together. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And I can't tell you how excited I am about the space, so I'll be talking to Chris more, I'm sure, in the future. But is there anything you think that I forgot? Because we covered a lot of good news here for the public in general. Is there anything we missed?
Gosh, I don't think so. I think
All right,
we
good.
did cover quite
That's
a bit.
awesome. But thank you for making the time to come in.
Thank
really
you very
appreciate
much.
it.
I appreciate
Enjoy
it.
that on your way out. No, I don't want it to
Thanks
go to
very
waste
much.
for you. You're welcome. All right. So again, this venue, and I'm going to be talking about this venue more in the future because I'm really in love with this venue, and this doesn't happen to me a lot. So very excited about Grace Church, and Chris has got a lot of great information. The team over there has done wonderful. The caterers they've chosen are great caterers, so you'll be in good hands. So you've got a lot of great tips and a new space to consider if you're recently engaged. My last guest that I'm bringing in is Dennis. So Dennis, when you're on there, Dennis will help me drink some more Prosecco, but he's got a real creative flip. Look at that. Let's put that right here. How are you?
How are you doing?
Look at this. Beautiful.
Brought a little vignette for you.
I like this.
Some spring flowers.
And it smells like spring. That makes it even better. Look at that.
And last, I like to always incorporate some little, I don't know if you can see that on film there, but in a lot of the tablescapes that we do, we like to have some element of surprise. So I brought along my little one of my favorite things, this little bronze pigeon.
Oh, I love that.
So it just gives like something
Joe, can we see that? Because that's really cool.
To the
make sure we got that. That's awesome.
to the tablescape.
All right, well, I got to pour you some Prosecco over time.
Oh,
so, Dennis's title is creative director at Stone Blossom, and I got so many compliments on the pictures that are out there that you guys have put out. And you've got a beautiful, cheers to you. You guys have got so many great things that you do to bring a lot of creativity, a lot of imagination. Britt in the beginning used this word about storytelling and photography. And in my opinion is that the floral part of it wraps all that in, wraps in your entire environment, so to speak. So I want to have Dennis first give an overview on Stone Blossom, if you could. Let's talk about that from there, and then we'll get into some tips and thoughts on the flowers and everything. But tell us what Stone Blossom does.
Well, I think what we do at Stone Blossom is we help the clients fulfill their expectations. So if they come in with a certain theme or they're trying to convey a certain feeling to their guest, sometimes we'll get clients that really don't have a direction, and then we'll kind of steer them in a direction, and with the facts that they've given us, or the time of year, or depending on the venue, and we help them create their magical space.
Now, floral in weddings as a whole has come a long way. It used to be, okay, you put a small centerpiece, throw it on the table. And then it was like, okay, then there was the bouquet, was the big thought.
Mhm.
But then after that, there was nothing else really.
Exactly.
Now, I could tell you when I got married, I love floral. I'm totally into flowers. I got gardens upon gardens in my house. And I wish I could remember all the different names and everything, but I just know what I like and what it looks like. So when I got married, I had these beautiful centerpieces that came up high because I wanted my guests to be able to see each other when they're sitting at their tables. But I wanted this feel when you walked in the room that was special and memorable as well. And that's where I go back to the storytelling of what Britt was saying when you come in, is I feel that this all ties in. And I think that that's evolved,
Exactly.
right?
Exactly. I think people are not looking for just a centerpiece. I think they're looking to tell us whole story. So we're using a lot of different size tables, farm tables. We may do actually a trend right now is like longer head tables has been the trend for the last couple of years. So on that table, instead of one fabulous centerpiece, it's multiple levels, multiple layers of elements, mixing different metals, different containers. Mercury is still a popular, but we mix it with, a vintage collection of like these sterling pieces. Again, like I said, maybe mixing in some fun element with this pigeon, or if it's something, I think the bride and groom should make it something that's personal to them.
I was just gonna say that, that's excellent.
And basically, or based within the space, or just trying to, whatever event, whatever they're trying to get the feeling to their guests. That's what we try to focus in on.
So when someone, and we're gonna cover a lot about flowers and getting more into what you're just talking about, because I like the personalization part. I think that's really nice. So when someone's coming to you, what's probably the biggest tip? And there's a lot that goes through, especially if you're talking to a bride and their mother, there's a lot that can go through your minds. You feel rushed at a lot of different things, but you need to consider all the elements of what you're planning. We just went from a venue to photography to now the floral. What's one of the biggest tips or one of the biggest things you tell people to think about as they're coming to see you or when they're first sitting down with you?
I think if we do a phone consultation firsthand, we may ask them to come in with some images, or a lot of brides already do that using Pinterest as a go-to. They also use our Instagram page as a great source. But I think if they come in with just some sense of direction, it helps. Also, it's nice if they have like some sense of direction on a budget.
And truthfully, I mean, we hear this a lot about talking about planning in the budgets, is that it is important to have that idea, because you can come in with a picture that's got all these things and you don't know where that picture necessarily came from. It could have been Kim Kardashian's next baby's something
and that's
or other
happened
party.
many
really?
times.
Right?
Yeah. So I've done some work with Preston Bailey as a big designer, and
we just talked to Preston. Yeah, I'm going to be having him on the show. He's a
oh,
great
wonderful!
guy. Yeah.
And I mean, we get clients that come in with his image off of Pinterest or off of his website, and I mean, there's different expectations. So I think that should be something you zero in on. But I think one great thing that Stone Blossom is good at doing is we can execute. You may have to scale it back, but I think at that point you pick and choose what's most important to you.
It's a good way to do it. I think in proportion. So you kind of proportion where you want these, how you want to do it, whether it's the size of the vase or where it goes, or even the type of the flowers. So let's get into talking about the type of the flowers, because that can determine a lot of where those budgets go or how you dress it up. Because I think that, I remember, and again, I'm horrible with the names of the flowers, but I remember there were specific flowers that I wanted of a specific color, and yes, I'm the guy that was making that decision. And I'm looking at it, and my florist at the time was telling me, okay, well, let's put this amount in the vase, and the rest can be these other things to make it happen for you and pull it through. So let's talk about the type of flowers that have become some of the most popular flowers at weddings.
I think peonies are like off the charts. Peonies, cafe au lait dahlias really come up at the top of my list right now. But I mean, there's so many other flowers. Garden roses. I think that's another thing you want to keep in mind when you're planning a wedding. If you are partial to and are really obsessed with, say, dahlias, or then maybe you don't want to get married in the springtime, because you're not going to get as much as things are more available. They're just not going to be the quality of what you would get in, say, August or September when they're at their peak.
Or it could be more expensive because they're not in their peak.
True.
Right. So seasonality, a lot like freshness in foods, plays a part of all of this. There's only so much you can force to grow when it's not in season.
Exactly.
So tell us about some of the latest trends that have been out there. And you and I were talking about this, and I was really excited to cover it. So tell us about one of the biggest trends that's come out now.
One of the biggest trends I feel is that we are approaching florals in a different way. I think that we have a lot of people that are very educated onto what types of flowers they like, and they're really specific about that. So I think we've seen a real big trend in the last couple of years that buying from local farms. And I think when you buy from local farms, you have a little more control over what's getting a better quality of what's a product that's in season. Also, there's a lot of foraging, whether it's from local farms or you source it out yourself, but that also helps you to create the vignettes or the arrangements that you just can't buy some of that stuff at the local markets.
Right, and like, I mean, I'm going to throw out a very simple example that comes to mind for me, but going to a local farm, you stumble upon different shapes of wood or different textures
Sure.
that are out there when you're there. You know, someone mentioned to me last night about the fact that they did their pictures in this tulip bed that was in Providence. At one point, they stopped over there, and that was just a backdrop that
Yeah.
existed. So that got me thinking about the ways that flowers are involved in weddings, and we kind of started out talking about how it's the pieces that are on the table and the centerpieces. There's a lot more the flowers cover. One of the pictures that I posted, and I got tremendous feedback from your Instagram,
Okay.
was of the arbor. Is that what
An
I call it?
arbor,
Of the
yeah.
arbor. So talk about the different areas that flowers are used.
And we do lots of arbors and huppas, and I think that's a perfect example of what I'm talking about, foraging. If you're trying to create an arbor that's supposed to look like it's been growing in nature,